Right, guys, I'm loading back in. Sorry, I've disconnected. Oh, look at this. The lights are coming on. Right, they're going, away we go at Monaco. James gets off the line well. Let's try. Oh no, what's happened? It looks like everybody's gotten through turn 1 okay, but we do have a yellow flag. Ah, no, there is somebody round. It looks like there's been some contact between Mario, Shawnee and Vaddy. So they've gone round a bit further down. I hope everybody's found their way back to the stream as we head into the hairpin. An audacious move from Chris. Trying to get past Robin, but Robin holds him off in the end. Oh my god, I can't get all the stuff. There we go. Right, Watson and Codsella have made up a few places each. That's the Mario, Shawnee, Vati incident, presumably. They've managed to gain from that. Admiral's managed to get ahead of Brian. Chris has gotten ahead of Kev. Otherwise, everybody remains the same. Tyre-wise, the top 7 all on the hards. Karma's on the mediums in 8th. Well, it's easier to say Karma's on the mediums, Watson's on the mediums, Vati's on the mediums. Everybody else on hard tyres. As James completes the first lap of the race. Little gaps in the field starting to appear, as you'd pretty much expect at Monaco. I'm just going to try and get the stream back up for myself so I can... There we go. No idea, man, my internet just died. So, Beastie right on the back of Ryan. Is there any way past for him? As at the moment, James appears to be shooting out into the lead. I've got the on-board glitch where you got them doing full revs. Obviously, they're not doing full revs. He's sliding all over the place, so got the on-board glitch, unfortunately, which means we will be viewing pretty much the whole race in the broadcast cam. I did hear that we will be seeing rain about halfway through the race, so will be a big change through the race. So we'll also be seeing if the mediums hold out. It's a big gamble from the guys that have started on mediums. So it looks like Vati and Shawnee both had to take pit stops. I don't think Mario did. Absolutely stuck to the back of Ryan here. Can he find a way past? They have actually narrowed the gap to James a little bit. James had got that gap up to 1.8. It's now down to 1.2. See any signs of damage on James's car, so I don't think he's hit a wall anywhere or anything like that. So Watson's left the session. There we go again. An invite sent straight away. Lower the audio. I can't lower it anymore, mate. It can't be loud. It's only on 4. So it's not looking at the moment like Beastie can find a way past. What about Brian and Admiral? The battery isn't a huge thing around Monaco, so you're never going to have a gigantic battery advantage around here, so it's hard to know how these guys are going to make any moves. Well, I was getting very close to Josh. Well, I can't turn the audio off. Even with it on its lowest, you still hear it, and it's frustrating as hell, mate. So... Group here, very, very tight, as is this group. It's just a battle for P10 at the moment, although they're only just behind the battle for P6. In fact, they're probably going to find themselves within the second again. What do you have now? Oh, clatter on the wall there from what looked like an RB, so I think that was Chris. No signs of any damage, so I think he's okay. Watson appears to be back with us, so that's good news. Well, at the moment, it's a bit of follow your leader. Okay, James has pulled a bit of a gap to the guys directly behind him, but everybody's got a leader in front of them of some sorts. And at the moment, not seeing any... Well, gets alongside Josh. Head to Casino. Josh does really well defending it, in all fairness. Well, couldn't quite find a move. Oh, couple of taps on the wall. But somebody was knocking at the door. Shawnee boy, first to pick up 3 seconds. Sure, there'll be plenty more of that, especially with a chicane. That's a place people tend to pick up the warnings pretty easily. As James extends his lead by another 6 attempts. Did tonight deliberately make sure, because the seems to be a regular occurrence at the moment, that the lobby host keeps disconnecting from lobbies. So whether it's me or Ryan or whoever else, we've all got very strong internet, so it's not our internets that are doing it. So what we did tonight is make sure that James, because he's also got very good internet, was the second person into, or the first person to join the lobby after I'd made it, so that it would automatically hand it over to him if the disconnects happened again. So what we're trying tonight. At the moment, it seems to be working, apart from my audio glitch. Can't see any other signs of any issues, so... At the moment, Beastie still stuck behind Ryan. But he won't mind that, because he's sat in P3. It's Brian, the next to pick up 3 seconds. As I say, can't let that play on your mind a little bit. You don't want to pick any more up, that's for sure. But don't let that play on your mind, because there'll be a lot of penalties come the end of the Monaco race. So, Brian's just getting close to trying to break the 1 second to the cars behind him. And Karma, he's on the medium, so Brian might have an opportunity here to create a gap behind him. He has dropped off at Admiral a little bit, so it's not within the 1 second anymore. We go down to here. This is Gunnar Rosers and Admiral battling for P4 at the moment. Say Admiral at the moment seems to have dropped at Brian, and he's got himself nicely onto the group of onto these two. It's really strange, Josh. It's messed up so many races for me this year as well, and it's so frustrating. I was convinced it was going to cost me a championship, actually, and Well, it might yet, but I dropped from being in the lead of a championship to being like 18 points behind because of a bloody internet loss. Meant I couldn't race because it just would not give me control of my car because I disconnected at the end of qualifying. And Karma is round in sets of 3. What a shame, because he was going along very nicely. Will he actually take to the pits? No, I think he's carrying on. He might take to the pits to use the opportunity to actually make a pit stop. Presumably all these guys are going to... Ideally, they want to be going until the rain comes. So I'm really surprised to see anybody starting on the mediums, really. I thought it would be a whole field of hard tyres. I'm really... I'm happy to say that I've retaken the lead in that championship convincingly now, but Vati is crashed. Vati's crashed. Everybody so far managing to avoid him, and the car disappears, so they're safe now. How did he manage to crash there? He must have just been setting himself up ready for the left-hander and has just caught the wall. We know it's not. He's not sort of selected to retire on track. We know that because his car would still be moving. So he's actually crashed there. I can only assume he was setting himself up ready for the left-hander and has just caught the wall. He must have taken his tyre off, I assume. His wheel off. I'm just going to switch our battle here because I think Weld is making a move. And indeed he does, up the hill. And he gets past Josh. Yellow flags down at Sandervoort. Very slow. Godzilla, Mario and Karma. There's a lot of debris. And it looks like Godzilla has smacked the wall. Yeah, I can't see any damage on Mario's car. I'm going to be honest, if I'm Godzilla here, I'd probably just move out the way and let Mario through. And Karma, because that's going to need repairing around a track like Monaco. He's obviously smacked the wall though. It's Sandervoort, and that's where that damage has come from. So back to our footage here of the battle for P4 between Guna Roses and Admiral. Karma picks up 3 seconds. I think somebody's just hit a wall. Definitely heard a bang there. Yellow flags in sector 3. I'm looking it down, but it was Karma who is now taken to the pit lane. Yeah, he's got some damage there. So Karma into the pits. Yeah, that'll be a new front wing. There's not any risk of falling a lap down here. He's still going to be on the lead lap, so that's all it needs to be really at this stage. Just make sure you don't actually fall a lap down. He's sat in the pits forever. What is going on? I mean, he is now in danger of falling the lap down. Not... Well, yeah, he is. Here's James. And Karma falls a lap down. I don't know why he was sat in the pits for so long. Karma now not on the lead lap. Okay, if a safety car occurred now, James would definitely be into the pits, so he'd be able to unlap himself. It's not the end of the world at the moment. He's still in the same situation. If a safety car comes out, he'll be able to unlap. Now, there has been a bit of a development. So Beastie has just dropped out of the 1 second to Ryan. Now, that could open the door a little bit for this next group to try and close the gap up to him. As I say, it's not like other tracks where, you know, the battery advantage isn't such a big thing around here, so hence where we're not really seeing any overtakes. The only overtake we've seen so far is the one from Whale. Getting past Josh. Whale, by the way, now on the back of Gaza. He's We have a yellow flag. It's an Aston. And it's Godzilla. And that's out that right-hander. Gets himself into reverse. And he's back round and away he goes again. I assume... He's still got the same sort of damage, I think. It might be slightly worse. As Shawnee Boy retires. I think that's in the pits. And Josh retires. Why is Josh retired? Now Kev's retired. Ozers is round. Something big's happened here. That's Kev's wheel. So we suddenly lost Kev, Josh, Shawnee Boy, all in a matter of moments of each other, and out comes the safety car. Oh, Josh, I got a brake issue. Okay. That explains Josh's. But immediately after Josh retired, Kev's retired at turn 1. I don't know how, but something's happened with Ozers because he's dropped out of that battle with Gunnar and Admiral. So I can only assume... I'm just making an assumption here, guys. I don't know for certain. I can only assume that Ozers has maybe had a crash. Others have avoided him, but Kev couldn't. That's the only thing I can think that's just happened. Now, as I said earlier, this is going to allow Karma to unlap himself and Godzilla. So Karma and Godzilla both managed to unlap themselves. This is a bit of a spanner in the works, and some people are gambling, you know, because there's rain coming later in the race. So some people have gambled to stay out on their used tyres. So James, having pitted from a pretty safe lead to go on to the mediums, because 4 people have stayed out ahead of him. So he's in P5, Beastie P6, Gunnar now in P7. Whale also pitted, but he's held position, so he's not actually lost by the drivers that have stayed out. Watson stayed out as well. Although his tyres are younger, so he pitted, of course, pitted earlier in the race. So, we'll see everybody bunch up together again. It looks like the safety car was caused by the crash from Kev, so it should allow everyone to catch up, although I've got a feeling it doesn't necessarily wait for cars that have unlapped themselves to catch up, so Karma and Godzilla may need to get their foot down a little bit here. They're not that far behind Ozers. If the game deems Ozers as the person at fault for the safety car, then there is a chance that the safety car won't wait for him. I'd imagine that Karma is going to want to pit off of his softs though. I can't imagine he's going to want to stay on those. It's the gamble you take, I suppose. But James, now in P5, I mean, he's going to obviously have the tyre advantage, but there is going to be a part of him saying, oh no, why have these guys stayed out? He would not have been expecting that, and the reason they've done it is because it's Monaco and there's rain expected. Brian said about halfway through the race, and we're only, what, 4 laps off of that? 3-4 laps off of that? Now, if the game was saying, like, before the safety car came out, if the game was saying 5 to 10 minutes until rain, then I would say that nobody should have pitted. But, well, but the guys at the back, of course, would take the gamble. If this starts to rain, either towards the end of the safety car or just after the safety car finishes, then this would be a hell of a shout from the four that have stayed out. But yeah, Josh, if you're having brake issues, mate, especially around this track, goodness me, of all tracks, then obviously I don't blame you at all for bowing out. Shawnee boy, the silly boy, retired in the pit lane, and then the safety car came out immediately as people crashed at turn 1. So you may be thinking, oh, for goodness sake, if he'd have just stayed out one more lap, he'd have been back onto the back of the group racing again. Still doing the full throttle glitch. Well, it's going to give us a bit of racing, guys, that's for sure, because James, Beastie Gooner, Whale, all these guys, Robin, and even Chris, Mario and Ozers are going to be thinking, well, we got fresh tyres, we're going to want to get past. Let's just hope it doesn't lead to any silliness. They're going to get past, they've got to do it safely. The onus is on them to do it. Safety car in this lap. So, just looking down, I think Ozer is going to be fine. He'll get onto the back of the group, and I believe Godzilla will as well. Karma is going to be pushing it. He just needs to get his foot down, Karma, through this last sector, and just hope he gets as close as he can. You've got to assume that Ryan's almost certainly going to go out of this corner. Yeah, off he goes. Oh, no, he doesn't. Sorry. No, he doesn't. I thought he was going because of the bloody audio glitch. So, James trying to catch Gaz out into Sandavot. Catches the wall. James up the hill. Manages to get up the inside of Gaza. He's going to be vulnerable as well to Beastie. So tight. Oh no! Beastie touches Gaza. Gaza's actually managed to hold position, so it hasn't affected him in the end, but it's allowed Gooner to get past Beastie. Robin and Watson side by side a bit further down as well. And I think Robin's got ahead of Watson as sounds like there's some contact coming into the chicane from a couple of drivers. Just go back to James as he tries to fight his way back to the front. Ryan's already taken a 2-second lead. Admiral's not just going to leave the door open as we've got a yellow flag through sector 3 that appears to be Karma. Couple of drivers into the pits. Whale and Robin into the pits. They drive through, so they must have got... Sorry, I didn't see that come up on my screen, but they must have got drive-through penalties then. So Whale and Robin both serve a drive-through penalty. Presumably speeding under safety car. Gaz has now dropped to P8. He's really struggling to defend these positions. James has gotten past Admiral and has already caught Ryan. It's the battle of the championship rivals for P1. Mario gets past Gaza further down. Starting to look like it was the wrong choice for these guys. Apart from Ryan, of course, who at this moment in time is leading the race. James just has to be ultra careful. He knows Ryan's going to have to brake a bit earlier than he is. Not only is he on very worn tyres, but they're hard tyres as well. Will James get a chance up to Sandavot? Look how far he backs off. He's going to look to try and get a good exit and power his way through up the hill on these medium tyres, which will give him a better straight line speed. And through he goes and takes the lead back of the Monaco Grand Prix. Gunnar now is going to have to try and find his way past Admiral. That won't be easy. These guys are praying for the rain to come. They need it to come now. That's what they've gambled on. I can't tell you if the skies are grey because they're completely black. It is a night race here at Monaco. The drivers decided. The admins put it to a vote for the drivers. Gunnar initially looked to go at the inside at the chicane, then locked up the brakes. Well, not actually, to actually not go into the back of Admiral, having locked up, in all fairness. Gunnar, he wants past because he wants to go after Ryan. He can smell a P2. It's looking now like James is just gone. So, it looks like any battle here is really for P2. P3 at the moment, of course, but if Gunnar can get past, you've got to think he a real Ryan in very, very quickly. With every lap that ticks by, the wear going on these mediums means this overtake gets harder and harder and harder with every lap that ticks by. Gunnar wants to go up the inside at the hairpin. He gets alongside. I don't want to give it up, but ultimately the extra grip of those mediums means Gunnar can get out the corner that much quicker. And Gunnar's into P3. Beastie then, is there anything he can do to get past Brian? And it's raining. I don't know how the rain's coming down the camera in the tunnel, but it is raining. Brian goes straight across the chicane, and that gives him 3 seconds. On top of the 3 he already had, so that'll be 6 now for Brian. Just have a look at the penalties. Yeah, it's 6 for Brian, 6 for Chris, and 3 for Karma. But it is raining, guys. And Ryan is in already. We have yellows down at the chicane. That's Karma. Gaza actually pitted for fresh mediums. And now it started raining. That tells me that these hards are absolutely horrendous if Ryan's already pitting. Those hards must have been so worn for these guys to be pitting so early in the rain. Ozers gets past Mario for P6. And look, Gunnar finally gets into P2. James has a 10-second gap. Only thing that can stop James now, as a touch wood when I say this, the only thing you feel that can stop James is another safety car. Or actually crashing. Who was that? That was Admiral. I think he slowed down to let Beastie through. I think Beastie had gotten into P4, and I think Admiral slowed to let Beastie through. Slowed down an awful lot to let him through. He carries on, Admiral. Watson into the pits. How are the intermediate drivers faring? I mean, it's too early for the inters. The lap times seem okay, but it's too early in the set. They're going to be burning the tyres up. So yeah, he is losing time to WAOF. You're absolutely right, but he's not losing. You know, he's not losing loads. And Godzilla, by the way, right back in this race in P8, and on a good tyre as well. Now that, when you consider what had gone on for Godzilla earlier in the race, and he was a lap down, remember, Godzilla, he was a lap down at one stage. Had to unlap himself when the safety car came out, and he's now bearing the rewards of P8. That's perseverance, and it just goes to show, if you just stick with it, you can get the rewards. But now, it looks like this might be the time, guys. It looks like this might be the time. Ryan is starting to take chunks out of the car ahead. So Admiral in, Ozer's in. Yeah, look, Ryan is taking lumps out of Godzilla ahead of him. Admiral and Ryan in. The rest stayed out. So the top 6 at the moment have stayed out. That's James, Gooner, Beastie, Mario, Whale and Godzilla. Mario's another one, by the way. It's absolutely benefited. Okay, he's going to drop down when he pits for the inters, but... Just going to look at the gap to leader. So Ryan at the moment is 29 seconds off of James. So James does have a buffer here. He doesn't need to panic into the pits on this lap. If he wants to carry on a little bit, he can. So you might say now we might get a bit of read in. But look, Ryan is, again, he's taking chunks out of Whale. One corner. I'm pretty sure he just gained 4 attempts in one corner. See what he gains through the chicane. Yeah, again, he's just gained a huge chunk of time through the chicane. It's definitely pit stop time. And in comes James, Gooner, Beastie. Mario follows suit as well. He does indeed. And so does Whale. Godzilla needs to as well. Yeah, Godzilla in. Gaza, who was doing so well. It's just all gone a bit wrong. He might feel like maybe he got harassed a bit under it. You know, when the safety car came in, he was on the old tyres. Fortunately, he was the one at the back of that group that stayed out. And so naturally, he was the first target for all of the fresh tyre runners. So I think Karma's in a bit of spot of bother again. Down at the chicane. Not Karma's night tonight, unfortunately. No, he's missing the end plate there as well. Yeah, it's really not Karma's night. Something else has gone wrong now. Another tank slapper. He's going to have to get back into the pits. Because that car clearly isn't driving. Oh, he's not staying out. I don't know whether he's looking at this. He's driving slowly now. Now he's left the session. Has he got some sort of issues going on? Maybe. So Watson and Brian, the 2 Audi drivers, I'm pretty sure that wasn't an actual overtake, guys. That was team orders. So Brian lets his teammate through, who is penalty free at the moment. What a drive this is from Watson, by the way. From back of the grid, of course. Started P18 due to Godzilla also choosing not to qualify tonight. This might make the race a bit of a stalemate again, I'm afraid, because we had a bit of action, didn't we, after the safety car restart. People on different tyres gave us a bit of on-track action. We got to see a few overtakes at Monaco, thanks to that, but I think now with the intermediate tyres on, it's probably going to stagnate a little bit. But Ozers is trying. He's trying to see if there's anything he can do to get past this Audi. Oh, goodness me, that was scary. I think that shocked Brian a little bit when Karma came out the pits. So the gap at the front being maintained by James at the moment. So he's looking fine on these inters. At 9.5 seconds to Ryan is what the gap was when James came out the pits. So it stayed exactly how it was. He doesn't need to do any more than that. He doesn't need to push. There's no fastest lap up for grabs or anything like that. Because it's obviously a dry to wet race, so there won't be any records beaten here. But all James needs to do is just maintain the gap, bring the car home. And that'll be another race win for James this season. Did miss a race, which actually means he's got a little bit of catching up to do in the championship, but he's certainly doing exactly that. So Brian Ozers and Admiral in a little free car battle. Godzilla on the back of Mario. Two drivers that don't get a huge amount of airtime on the comms. There's no offence to them, they just don't tend to find themselves in as many battles as others, which is where we tend to look. I was just seeing if we might have a battle between the two of them. It's a little bit too far to gap at the moment, so stick to this one. Oh, a little bit of sideways there from Ozers. Might have made Admiral think Willow might have a chance. But just shows he's pushing. He's trying to force a way past, trying to create a gap, create a mistake from Brian. And in doing that, he's pushing hard himself, and little mistakes can happen. So 11 laps to go after this one. So a little bit left in this race yet. Just under a third of the race to go, and things just evened out, and remains to be seen if anybody gains any more places from here. I mean, you can see from the graphic on your screen there that the tyres are all pretty even. A few drivers have got maybe 1 or 2 lap advantages, but that's why this seems the most likely. But let's just move down, because Whale is getting very close to the back of Chris. She doesn't have to get past him. Chris is sat with 6 seconds, so well, we'll get that position at the end of the race in a way, but Admiral gets past it. I can't believe it. I came off of the battle for one moment, and Admiral gets past Ozers into Sandavot. Oh my word. I can't believe that's just happened. Literally come off just for a moment, and there's an overtake. That's when you know your luck's not in as a commentator. I moved for one bloody moment and there was an overtake. Unbelievable. I think that's Williams behind us. That's not Wales, so that must be karma. I just wonder. The only thing I can think that's happened there is that Ozer's coming out the final corner has had a bit of trouble getting on the power, and Admiral got his down nicely, and that's given Admiral the run into Sandavot. I'm usually... I think people generally know I never shy away from saying how it is, and I'm going to be quite honest, this is why I don't really like seeing Monaco on a calendar. We had a few laps of fun racing after the safety car came in, but other than that, it's been mind-numbingly boring, this race. And of course, a week where Carsey couldn't make it to do co-coms, he's down the pub instead, probably listening. He's probably, well, I don't know, depends what he's up to, I suppose. So, out on the lash with Mamo and a couple of other friends. From what I understand, wearing some Mamo-inspired t-shirts. So, yellow flag. I think that was just karma. Yeah, I think it was just karma's car moving out the way for blue flags. Admiral gets extremely close to Brian going into Sandoval. Just makes Ozers have a little think. Admiral clearly had to come off the power somewhat there, and Admiral gets quite high up on the curb on the outside there, going into the chicane. God, when you start saying things like that on commentary, you know you're bored. Right, I'm going to move to Gunnar and Beastie, just purely because if I do that... Look, if I do that, there's an overtake. I figured out how to make something happen in the race. All I've got to do is move to another battle. Admiral superb. Gets past Brian. Fortunately for him, I think all that's really done is it's put a car between him and Ozers, so it gives him the breathing space over Ozers for P6. He's not likely to be able to catch Watson in the time we have remaining. So big teamwork duties from Brian in allowing his teammate past on track and then defending from the drivers behind. He's created a lovely 7.8 second gap, near 8 second gap for Watson to hold on to that P5. Watson without doubt a extremely strong contender for driver of the day tonight. I think Watson is in the conversation. I think James has to be in the conversation. And for me, I think Beastie is the other standout performance. So oh dear, we've got... Oh dear, it looks like Brian and Ozers have come together at Rascasse. They're both going again, and we have avoided any sort of safety car, but it means that the drivers behind, so Chris, Whale, have both caught up onto the back of them. Ozers gets completely out of shape coming out of Sandoval. I haven't been able to tell yet if Ozer's got any sort of damage. No, it doesn't appear so. He appears to be fully intact. Does destroy any chance that Brian might have had of staying out of the penalty window to Whale and Robin, but I think they were pretty... I think they were pretty comfortably inside. I'm not entirely sure. Right, let's move off this again, and then something might happen again. Gunnar and Beastie just has to be a little aware of Watson. He is actually just about eating into that just over 2-second lead that they have over him. See him clearly there. See him again here in our foreground. He's getting closer. That of course makes Admiral fully safe now from the guys behind, looking for a strong P6 finish. James has just carried on, creating more and more of a gap. I mean, he may well be driving within his comfort limits and still creating the gap. It shows just how strong he's been here. It's making it incredibly difficult for me to choose driver of the day tonight, because Beastie in P4 is a massive performance from him, and obviously Watson recovering from second last on the grid, so P18 up to P5 is a gigantic performance from him. And but can I really take it away from a guy that was leading comfortably before the safety car, came out after the safety car in P5, fought his way back to the front in order to pull a lead again? To be quite honest, if I was allowed, I'd give it to all three of them, because I think all three deserve it. So, there's not many watching, but the 5 of you that are out there watching still, you can hear me and you are willing to comment, give me a bit of help. So I'm giving you the 3 options. So James, dominant performance to go on to win this race. This is all presuming nothing changes between now and the end of the race, of course. So my 3 options: James, dominant performance in the race, dropping the 5th at the safety car with 4 drivers deciding to stay out but fighting his way back to the front and pulling the lead again. Beastie, you know, not a driver we usually see up as high as P4, is qualified extremely well, been very clever with his decisions in the race, and is benefiting so much from that. Or Watson, who served his qualifying ban starting in P18, recovering to P5 at the moment. He was previously slightly gaining on Gunnar and Beastie, but that seems to have stopped now. They're without doubt the big standout performances in this race, so, and they are all penalty free. So Rich going with Watson, gained the most positions from the back. Yeah, absolutely he did. That's his claim to it. See if anybody else wants to put their vote in. So I don't make the announcement until the end of the race, so quite simply, something could happen between now and the end that changes things, so somebody with a contact with a wall there. I was just getting very close this time to Brian. Just about gets it stopped right on the back of Brian there, and you can see from this, I mean, you can clearly see the drivers behind have all got the pace really to get past Brian, but they just can't. That's just the nature of this track. Brian holding position See Brian, another driver that is in with a shout at the championship this year. So this season, Monaco. I say you all go in wanting to be the one that wins Monaco, but for most drivers, this does become a sort of damage limitation routine. Brian is doing his best for that, but that 6 seconds penalty is going to hurt. Oh, is that a move? Well, having a little look at the inside of Chris into the hairpin. Never managed to actually get alongside, and Chris holds that off pretty comfortably. In terms of constructors, by the way, it's a strong weekend, or a strong race for Haas in P4 and P6, Audi P5 and P7. McLaren are obviously going to pick up a big points haul with James winning the race, and Ferrari, actually, once penalties are taken into account, Robin will move inside the top 10. I think he's going to jump to P9. So Ferrari will have 2 cars inside the top 10 as well. It's the things you look for in the constructors, because the way we do the pots with a pot 1 driver, with a pot 4 driver, and a pot 2 driver with a pot 3 driver, that is, you know, the idea of that is that you won't have 2 drivers from the same team finishing in the top 10. So that means that the pot 3, pot 4 driver especially has done extremely well in a race. So James is about to start the last lap, and I feel he's been so dominant tonight that I want to watch this last lap. So let's just marvel at James's excellence tonight and enjoy last lap. I wonder if you can hear me. I know, obviously, when I'm racing with him, I'm usually in the party, and sometimes somebody has the commentary on. So, James, if you can hear me, give us a little wiggle as you go through the tunnel or something. He's probably thinking, fuck off, I'm not doing that in these conditions. You got no chance. Just you go into the tunnel, just give us a little wiggle. Go on. Oh. He didn't. I'm so alright. Well, it's not getting driver of the day now. Didn't give me a wiggle. I can't. I think it. I'm gonna be honest, Rich. As impressive as Watson's performance is, I can't deny a 22-second race win is, quite frankly, unbelievable. So James rounds Raskas for the final time, and through the final corner, crosses the line to win in Monaco. Ryan is going to come home in a very safe P2. He's the one really that opted to stay out when the safety car came out. He's probably the only one really of those that has really benefited, and that has given him a very strong podium finish. Gunnar as well, another superb drive actually from him tonight, and he takes P3. Beastie nips Watson. I hadn't actually realised that Watson had caught right up to him like that, but Beastie, absolutely outstanding performance from you, man. Takes P4. Watson again 18th on the grid to P5. Absolutely incredible from Watson. Admiral, a very admirable P6. So here's the penalties then. So Whale jumps to P7. Ozers takes P8. Robin P9. Gaza rounds out the top 10 then. Brian in the end dropped to P11. Chris down to 12. Mario is going to cross in 13, but Godzilla does jump him on penalties. So it's Godzilla for 13. Mario takes 14. And Karma, who I don't think ever got back into the lobby, takes P15. Here's our podium. But sorry, Rich, but I am going to give Driver of the Day to James. I think I so often give it to drivers further down the field, or for other reasons such as position gains. I so often do that and ignore the race winner. I can't ignore the race winner when he's won by over 20 seconds. It's just absolutely outstanding from James tonight, and that is fully deserved in my opinion. Like I said though, if I had a choice, if I could, I genuinely would give it to James, Beastie and Watson tonight. I would give it to all three of them if I was allowed. So there we have it. Fastest lap for James as well. He didn't get the Grand Slam. He did qualify pole, of course, but he didn't get the Grand Slam because when the safety car, of course, came out, four drivers opted to stay out, so he didn't lead every lap of the race. I'll try and scroll for instance. Oh, it slowed down. Why did it slow down? I might have got there if it didn't slow down. So, yeah, both great races. Beastie as well. All three of them absolutely superb races. Well, that was Monaco. I said it while the race was on. I'm going to be honest. It was boring for 95% of the race. It was only the 3 laps after the safety car, really, that it got a bit exciting when people had to actually make moves on the fresher tyres. But other than that, it was absolutely mind-numbingly boring. So for that reason, I do have to say thank you very much, Rich, Josh, anyone else that's made comments throughout and has watched the race with me. So thank you ever so much, guys. We'll be back at a much more fun track next week. So come and watch us next week. And Carty should be back as well for a co-com, so that I'm not on my own. So yeah, there we go. That's it. Good night. God bless, and I'll see you again soon.